Hi everyone, it's Paula, and this is my second installment of living on Harvoni and ribavirin. I'm now in the 6th week of treatment. Let me just throw a little disclaimer in. I'm not a doctor. I know doctors, they take care of me, but I'm not a doctor, so please forgive me if I mix up something technical, all those things, okay? I'm just stating that first so y'all know, okay? So anyway, how are you this week? I've been better and I've been worse, so I'm glad to be alive, and I hope you are too. And I want you to know that you're not alone. I'm here with you, for one thing. So I hope that everything's going well for you. So let me talk about, let's see, the last time we spoke. I believe I was entering into week 5. I'm now on week 6. So I had an appointment scheduled to do the 4th week in Harvoni. They always run a whole bunch of tests and all those things because the testing on Harvoni says that most people are what they call undetected at 4 weeks, or at least really lower. So I had an appointment for that, but meanwhile, some of my test results came back, and my hemoglobin was very low. The drugs were screwing around with my anti-rejection meds, so there was some, little ticks here and there in my medication. But, that's cool. But I had, since my iron was low, my hemoglobins were low, I had to go get a transfusion, and that was okay. I did it. I felt a whole bunch better afterwards, had, pink in my cheeks and a spring in my step, and it was all very good. So instead of going to my 4-week, I went to get blood instead. Remember, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm what you call living on the frontier. I live in a very small community that doesn't really have a lot of facilities. So at this point, I'm being managed by Avera in Sioux Falls. Avera. Oops, here. Boy, my coordination's off today. I'm trying to show their logo. A wonderful, wonderful group of people over there. And very caring and very, they follow up on everything. Just want to say that. Great, great facility. Now I lost my train of thought. Once again, we call it Harvoni head or ribavirin. I don't know, ribavirin. Okay, yeah, 5 weeks. So I went and had blood. That was all cool. And meanwhile, they did the 4-week test as well about my viral load. But since I live out in the sticks, it takes them, I don't know, I'm thinking about a week to get it. So meanwhile, started entering into week 6, and another test came back where they just did my liver functions and my hemoglobin and kidneys and all that sort of thing. And once again, my hemoglobins were low. So I went to get another transfusion. And, like I said, that's okay. I can deal with that. If that's all I have to do to be totally healed of this dragon, I'm right there with you. But, so got transfusion. Meanwhile, then I called and I said, have you got my viral load results in yet? Well, yes, they did. I am pleased to announce that when I first started the treatment, my viral load is what they call it, how much virus is in your blood, and I'm not quite specific on how they test it, but it has to do with how much of the virus is in your blood as opposed to just your normal blood. Somehow they figured that out. God bless them for doing it. Started out, okay, so I started out at 1.5 million units in my bloodstream. Okay, 1.5. Let that sink in. That's not as far as Hep C people are concerned. It's not a whole lot. It's not on the low end. It's kind of like in the middle. I think at one point in the game before transplant, I was at like 7 million, somewhere around in there. So it certainly fluctuates a lot, and you know. But where I was at that point was in the medium range. Not really bad, not really good. Okay, so 1.5 million. My PCR level came back, and at my 4 weeks, the number was 30. 30. 30. So needless to say, that has really given me, strength to go on. Not that I wouldn't have, kept on anyway until the end, but it's given me a little hope. And my doctors also told me that they spoke with the rep from Gilead, I believe is who makes Harvoni, and he said that's not uncommon, that at this stage that it's a lot lower, it's just not undetected yet. There's a difference in the tests, and sometimes they use this one test that isn't really like, it's more like kind of a shotgun approach, not real dialed into everything. And generally those will tend to be undetected because they're not quite as specific. They still get the job done, not saying that. But the one that I have is where they drill way down into it and get really, really specific. So what they were telling me, it's not uncommon for people to be at this stage in the game 30 when they do that test. Okay, so that's kind of the difference. And there's probably a lot of reasons why they use the test that's not quite as precise on most people, because probably their insurance company won't let it happen until the end, or I don't know, for whatever reason. But I'm always blaming the insurance companies because they're don't get me started. So that's that. I had happy news. It gave me, another boost to keep on keeping on, even though, I have good days and bad days. And some days I just have to kind of like lay around a lot because I don't have a lot of energy. I haven't had the headaches that a lot of people do. Sometimes I can feel one coming on, but if I just drink some water, it goes away. So I'm thankful for that, because there's nothing worse than having a headache, for one thing. My roller coaster ride emotionally has kind of evened out a bit. I'm not quite as really. Maybe you can't tell that from this video, but really I am a little bit more evened out now. I know my husband, God bless him, is, he's been through so much with me, and he just lets all of it roll off of his back. But the other night we were starting to watch a movie, and, he was talking to the dog and trying to talk to me. And I finally looked at him. I said, "Could you be a silent partner tonight, please?" So he knows when to back off. But it's been a lot more even, and I'm not quite as cranky as I was. I did find out in doing some research that there actually is a name for when you're feeling like you want to slap everybody and, just shut up, leave me alone. I tended to get a little light sensitive and sound sensitive too. Almost like a migraine without the headache, when I'd hear commercials, it'd be like click. So anyway, I found out there's actually a name for that. They have come up with this name for it. It's called ribo rage. I thought that was great, don't you? You know, instead of roid rage, it's ribo rage. So if you are going through this right now, it's all part of the process. And if you've got a husband or a spouse or a partner that can bear with you and not take things personally, that's a real gift, because that's what they're going to have to do right now. A lot of people I have heard, and some have told me that as you go on, it gets a lot better, and that's good. So everything will get a lot better. It's just going through the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows of all of this. So let me just, tell you, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And there's a lot of people out there that know how it ends now, because they're done. So, and they're here to tell you that they're healthy and happy, and finally, after years. I mean, some people have been walking around with this for decades. I know I have. Decades. One guy the other day said it's been 44 years for him. So, it's happening. It's just sometimes not all that fun to go through, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, okay? I also really want to give a shout out to my doctors, and because I've heard some stories, and I don't know if because the doctors that these people are going to are not like specialists, maybe it's their primary care, I don't know, but I've heard some things about doctors that, or even maybe nurse practitioners or whatever, that are not quite as up with everything, down on what could happen, and so they don't. I've heard some really strange things that doctors have told them, and so I hope that's not happening to you. It's certainly not happening to me. My people at Avera, I go to the Transplant Institute because, I've had a transplant. They're always on top of things, and sometimes I get 2 or 3 people calling me a day saying, we got this, are you okay, that sort of thing. So to me, it's been a wonderful experience the whole way through everything. I very seldom had any doctors that are disinterested or snotty, or the God thing, or any of those. And it, I've just had a really, really, really good experience with my doctors, and I'm sorry that some of you out there aren't. And I want you just to remember, it's your money. Whether you're on Medicare or insurance or whatever, you are still paying these people. So if you get somebody that's doesn't have time for you, or acts like it's a burden to talk to you on the phone or whatever, if you live in, especially if you live in a big city, there's a whole bunch of people out there that are better and know what's going on. And my experience is, I just got really lucky, and had people all along the way with me that care. They care about me, and they care about their job. So I'm blessed in that regard. And if you're not, maybe do some research on somebody who's better. That's all I can say. And I feel bad when people have um, crappy caregivers, because really, there's a gazillion of them out there that are wonderful, and they're not in it for the money, and they're not in it because it makes them feel like they're in control, or whatever the case. So I'm going to leave you with that this week, because I'm trying not to make these really long, but it's hard for me, and I got to say that after listening to my last one, I got kind of tired of myself too after about 15 minutes. So I'm trying to keep them short, okay? I just want to say I'm sending my energy out to you, healing energy, and I hope that you're okay. And if you have any questions, there's the comment section, and I do answer them very promptly, I must add. So if you like me, please subscribe. Please make sure you like me, and I'll see you next week, okay? Peace, love, out.